Uncle, Uncle Gu Yuan. Xiao Yin, seeing this and hearing the words, couldn't help but drop to his knees with a sudden force, a wave of unbearable sorrow filling his heart. Looking at the thin black figure before him, his keen spiritual sense immediately sensed the torment this person had suffered for so long. If it weren't for his deep concern, Xiao Yin might have. Xiao Yin had always prided himself on being a man who would never kneel to heaven or earth, nor to ghosts or gods. The only ones he would bow to were his birth parents. Moreover, the decades of searching and delay only made him feel a deep sense of guilt when he saw Gu Yuan for the first time. Child, don't do this. Gu Yuan quickly reached out to try and lift Xiao Yin, then slowly spoke. He knew that none of this was Xiao Yan's fault. After coming to the Gu clan, he had vaguely realized that Xiao Yin bore too much responsibility. He needed time. This was also one of the reasons why Xun'er had plunged herself into the Holy Land without a second thought. Xun'er was not only Xiao Yan's lawful wife, but also a graceful and virtuous fairy. What she desired was to be by Xiao Yan's side, sharing his burdens, not just a pretty vase without substance. Father, I'm late. I've caused you suffering. I'm sorry. Xiao Yin insisted on staying kneeling, feeling a surge of guilt. This is not your fault. When we, the 5 emperors, broke through the void, we never expected so many things to happen. After breaking through the void, we followed the guidance of our bloodlines and accidentally entered the Doyun continent, where we were received by the strong members of the Gu clan. Xun'er, because she carries a mysterious flame, seemed to have a special connection with the Gu clan's sacred flame. Because of this, she was taken in by the supreme heavenly emperor of the Gu clan and was painstakingly nurtured. Gu Yuan spoke, his voice carrying a cold and ruthless aura that made Xiao Yan's expression shift with emotion. Where is Xun'er now? After a moment, supported by Gu Yuan, Xiao Yin stood up, trembling and asked, his mind filled with the image of Xun'er's delicate and graceful figure. She was Xiao Yan's last pillar of support. If anything happened to her within the Gu clan, Xiao Yin wouldn't hesitate to ignite both sacred flame and demon power here. The terrifying power of these two forces would turn half of the evil beings here into dust. Don't worry. When the turmoil broke out in the Gu clan, Xun'er had already been in the Holy Land for quite some time. Gu Yuan saw the worry in Xiao Yan's eyes and spoke soothingly, though his own expression remained grave, as if there was something still troubling him. The Holy Land of the Gu clan? Xiao Yin frowned at the mention. That place required 3 keys to open the gates of the forbidden area, and he didn't have time for that now. So, he had no choice but to set his sights on Xun'er's master, the Supreme Heavenly Emperor. You came here too? Gu Yuan looked at Xiao Yin, who was alone, and couldn't help but ask. He knew all too well the overwhelming strength of the extraterritorial evil clan controlling their Gu clan. Such strength was not something Xiao Yin could contend with alone. I came to bring you and Xun'er home, Xiao Yin smiled softly. But this place... Gu Yuan shook his head slowly. Due to his special status, and because the extraterritorial evil clan sought to control Xun'er through him, he had been treated well during his imprisonment. It could be said without exaggeration that, aside from Gu Yuan and the Supreme Heavenly Emperor, everyone else in the first level of the Gu prison was just a soul body. These two were the only real bodies here. And since Gu Yuan and Xun'er shared a close relationship, the extraterritorial evil clan hadn't made things difficult for them, only setting up layers of seals to suppress them here. Father, don't worry. I'll rescue you first, and then look for the Supreme Heavenly Emperor. But afterwards, I may need to enter the forbidden area, Xiao Yin nodded and said. All right, but be careful. The seals here are... Crack. Before Gu Yuan could finish, the dark, evil barriers around them dissolved like steam, vanishing into thin air. You little brat. Gu Yuan smiled with relief. Follow me. The Supreme Heavenly Emperor is on the other side. The two cautiously left the cell and made their way in the opposite direction. Poof! Xiao Yin looked inside, but there was nothing. The structure of this cell was quite similar to the one where Gu Yuan had been kept, though the oppressive aura here gave Xiao Yin a sense of sharp pressure. Let's go inside. Xiao Yin surveyed the area. When no one and no evil aura appeared, The two stepped into the Supreme Heavenly Emperor's cell. This cell was near the Sunluo hell below, making it feel exceptionally gloomy and sinister. Senior. Gu Yuan? After a moment, a voice filled with surprise emerged, and a dark shadow slowly flickered across the wooden table. However, the fluctuation of power emanating from this figure was extraordinarily strong, and a terrifying aura of sealing energy surrounded him, causing Xiao Yan's breathing to grow difficult. Senior, we've come to rescue you, Gu Yuan said with a smile on his face, his voice full of excitement. How did you manage to break free? The Supreme Heavenly Emperor, unaware that Xiao Yan was the one responsible, could not help but ask. Senior, allow me to help you break the seal, but I hope you will give me the key to the Holy Land. Xiao Yan spoke calmly, but his inner aura slowly began to flicker, revealing a faint presence. I see. The Supreme Heavenly Emperor, observing the faint aura swirling above Xiao Yan's head, squinted and nodded. It seemed the extraterritorial evil clan had once used similar tricks, but unfortunately, all their attempts had been exposed. Xiao Yan's actions now undoubtedly confirmed his identity. Late 7-star Do Xian, Sacred Flame. Not bad, but still not enough for that girl to notice you. While Xiao Yan was working to undo the seal, the Supreme Heavenly Emperor stared at him, sizing him up and muttering, clearly taking on a protective role for his disciple. Bang, bang, bang. Chains, engraved with countless evil patterns, shook violently, unable to withstand the heat of Xiao Yan's sacred flame, eventually breaking down. It worked. Xiao Yan wiped the sweat from his brow, his battle aura now flowing toward Gu Yuan and the Supreme Heavenly Emperor. Both of them had been sealed for decades, their Do Qi completely consumed. Now, they were like vast vessels, empty of any energy. 5-star Do Xian? 8-star Do Xian? As the two sat cross-legged and absorbed Xiao Yan's energy, Xiao Yan immediately sensed their presence. Gu Yuan's aura had reached the rare early stage of 5-star Do Xian, while the Supreme Heavenly Emperor's aura was even more surprising, reaching the rare late stage of 8-star Do Xian. Hee, little brother, you have quite the nerve, daring to kidnap these two important figures personally suppressed by me. Just as the three sat quietly in the cell, a blood cloud swirled violently. A seductive, sinister figure, surrounded by blood serpents, emerged from the ground of the corridor. That aura, that level of evil. This was likely the true leader of the ancient prison. Damn, I should have realized that they were watching us closely. The Supreme Heavenly Emperor's face changed drastically as he looked at the enchanting figure surrounded by blood serpents. Before them stood a mesmerizing woman clad in translucent white, as if her body were made of smoke. She was snow white to the extreme, her face exceptionally beautiful but shrouded in a layer of blood mist that gave her a terrifying, sinister appearance. Several blood serpents, exuding intense malevolent energy, coiled around her, enhancing her evil presence. What terrifying pressure! Xiao Yan furrowed his brow, releasing his amber-colored flames to protect the three of them. His mind raced as he considered how to break the deadlock. There are 3 major figures in the ancient prison. 2 of them are nearing king-level strength, at the late stage of 8-star Do Xian. I was ambushed by them back then, the Supreme Heavenly Emperor said with a pale face, staring at the alluring woman as a heavy pressure descended upon him. Though he and she were both at the late stage of 8-star Do Xian, he was in enemy territory, his power suppressed for decades. Now, he could barely regain a sliver of strength. It would surely be an intense battle. And the third? Xiao Yan asked. The third should be a king-level figure, but I've never seen him. His strength far surpasses the other 2, probably at the full stage of 8-star Do Xian or even stronger. The Supreme Heavenly Emperor replied solemnly. Senior, can you summon the elders of the Gu clan? After a moment, seeing countless evil blood serpents rising in the cell, Xiao Yan spoke coldly. Hee, little brother, stop wasting your effort. The seductive evil figure laughed wickedly. The entire Gu realm has been completely sealed by us. All methods to summon the Gu clan's elders have been rendered useless. You're all on your own now. There's no way out. The evil figure's eyes gleamed as they locked onto Xiao Yan's amber flames with burning interest. "Make your move. I'll hold her off. You two run." Xiao Yan quickly called out. His radiant amber flames separated, forming a shield around Gu Yuan and the Supreme Heavenly Emperor. He nodded to the Supreme Heavenly Emperor, signaling that they had made their decision to move separately, immediately launching a fierce attack to cover for them. This is Serpent Scorpion Shui. Her power is mostly based on bloodthirst and coldness. Be careful. It seems there's still some heroic spirit left, but the Snake Scorpion Shui's snake-like eyes flickered with a cold, murderous intent. She didn't care about Gu Yuan and the Supreme Heavenly Emperor. After all, their status was special, and the key to the Holy Land in the hands of the Supreme Heavenly Emperor had been hidden by her. Letting them leave was simply a temporary strategy. Enough with the chatter. Dragon God Transformation. Battle Soul. Xiao Yan, overwhelmed by a massive bloodthirsty aura, gripped the Eternal Ruler, enveloping it in a thick amber flame. He then leaped forward, swinging it down at Snake Scorpion Shui. "Little brother, you're too weak? I really don't understand. Why waste your precious time here to seek death instead of enjoying yourself?" Snake Scorpion Shui's laughter rang out like a silver bell, clear and pleasant. But the overwhelming killing intent that followed made Xiao Yan feel as though he were facing a great enemy. Hiss! Xiao Yan's seemingly fierce attack froze mid-air when it was just meters from Snake Scorpion Shui. Countless blood serpents with crimson eyes and flashing dark red evil light stared at Xiao Yan. The chilling cold, deep to the bone, made Xiao Yan tremble uncontrollably. Forget it. After a moment of struggling, Xiao Yan gave up on his desperate attempt. This person was only one of the three great powerhouses, far from the strongest. If he used his trump card here, he'd probably alert the enemy. And thinking of the potential strength of the leader of the three powerhouses, along with the demonic statues in Sunluo Hell below, Xiao Yan felt an uneasy churn in his heart. His trump card needed to be used to kill high-ranking members of the extraterritorial evil clan, and Xiao Yan only had one chance. If he failed, the consequences would be devastating. "Don't worry, sister won't kill you. Putting aside the sacred flame within you, just your aura is exactly the same as that little brat who entered the Holy Land. You still have plenty of value to be used." Ryup. As Snake Scorpion Shui's words fell, several blood serpents tightly bound Xiao Yan, and with the suppression of the evil power, he couldn't move. "Let's go. Let's see if they've found the other key to the Holy Land." Snake Scorpion Shui casually pulled Xiao Yan behind her, slowly heading toward the direction where Gu Yuan and the Supreme Heavenly Emperor had fled. "Senior, where are we going?" On the other side, Xiao Yan had bought some time for the Supreme Heavenly Emperor and Gu Yuan to escape. The Supreme Heavenly Emperor had led Gu Yuan to a hidden staircase in the attic. "Let's first retrieve the treasure that opens the Holy Land. Now, the Holy Land is our last hope." The Supreme Heavenly Emperor's face darkened as he spoke. "But Xiao Yan..." Gu Yuan seemed hesitant. "Don't worry, that boy is clever." The Supreme Heavenly Emperor reassured him. "All right." Hearing this, Gu Yuan nodded, and the Supreme Heavenly Emperor's palm glowed with countless Sanskrit symbols, which were gently imprinted on the staircase. Immediately, a portal of light emerged. This was a rather narrow space, clearly the storage area for the treasure that led to the Holy Land. Just as I thought. As Gu Yuan and the Supreme Heavenly Emperor entered the void, Snake Scorpion Shui quietly followed, her lips curling into a mocking smile as she looked at their figures. Two sacred flames, along with the life of the holy maiden of the Gu clan, would be enough to allow her to truly evolve into a king-level being. However, she overlooked the violent turbulence of the sacred flame and demonic power within Xiao Yan. Given time, this power would undoubtedly evolve into a world-threatening skill. Meanwhile, on the battlefield between Lu Hao and Wind Evil Lord, this little brat. On the handsome face of Wind Evil Lord, deep, visible scars appeared, and there were even terrifying burn marks across his body. When the light attribute power struck the body of the extraterritorial evil clan, the damage was permanent and irreparable. In some ways, Light attribute practitioners were even more dangerous than sacred flame users. In the endless darkness, the evil rain poured down. Wind Evil Lord no longer cared about anything else. With a roar, he rushed forward, surrounded by a rolling sea of demons, his murderous intent so intense it seemed like he wanted to tear Lu Hao to pieces. Such an annoying aura. Lu Hao's body glowed with a brilliant radiance, and from his back, a faint array of countless white light spots appeared, gradually forming a vast, boundless pair of wings. The divine aura that emanated from the wings made the entire world tremble. At that moment, Wind Evil Lord's eyes suddenly became extremely solemn. His gaze was fixed on Lu Hao, and he exclaimed in disbelief, "Impossible! Angel wings! How is this possible?" As he watched the angelic wings on Lu Hao grow ever more pronounced, Wind Evil Lord's face turned grim. He had no time to attack anymore. His body stiffened in midair, and the sea of demons around him immediately dissipated, as though the light from Lu Hao's presence was dispelling them. However, as soon as Lu Hao's body began to condense with the formation of the angel wings, rare changes started to slowly occur. The specifics of these changes were unclear to Feng Xiejun, but it was likely that these changes did not bode well. As the child of light, with my exalted status, I hereby declare the complete judgment upon you, Feng Xiejun. Accept the justice of punishment. Lu Hao suddenly laughed, his smile full of a fearless pride. His body slowly ascended, and in an instant, 2 angelic wings, each over 100 feet wide, appeared behind him in a dazzling display. On the wings, a milky white light pattern, spanning the heavens and earth, appeared like the true angelic abode, majestic and untouchable. The layers of pure, holy angel wings seemed like a divine shackle, shaking Feng Xiejun's soul and making him unable to escape. The child of light of the holy sea? At this moment, Feng Xiejun's brows furrowed, and an unprecedented sense of danger emerged. Angels were unique to the holy sea, and the number of wings an angel possessed was the most important measure of their strength. With each additional wing, an angel's power grew exponentially, but there existed something even beyond the angels. The Child of Light. According to legend, the Child of Light had only appeared 5 times in the entire Great Thousand Worlds over countless years. Every appearance of the Child of Light signaled an unprecedented disaster for the Great Thousand Worlds, and the Child of Light's power far exceeded that of most angels. As a true messenger of the angel kingdom, a devout follower of light, every time the Child of Light appeared, the Holy Sea forged an unparalleled glory, driving countless evils from the Great Thousand Worlds. This is how the Child of Light earned its name of supreme honor. Lowly Worm. With the blessing of the angel wings, a milky white halo surrounded Lu Hao. In the next moment, Lu Hao's aura and appearance transformed, as if he had become an entirely different person. His muscles became a translucent blend of red and white, his skin as smooth and cold as ice, skin and bone so ethereal that they could hardly belong to a man. Instead, it resembled a woman's graceful figure. His lips were like delicate cherry blossoms, captivating countless men. But Lu Hao was clearly a man. How could he have transformed into such a feminine appearance? What is going on? Feng Xiejun watched in shock as Lu Hao, under the influence of the angelic power, lost all his masculinity. Instead, a delicate, almost feminine aura enveloped him again. Even Feng Xiejun, with his vast experience, had never encountered anything like this. Whoosh! Go! Lu Hao coldly snorted, his voice unexpectedly pleasant, and an icy killing intent radiated from him. He then raised his slender jade hand and cast a glance at Feng Xiejun. Instantly, countless rays of light coalesced into hundreds of sharp light arrows, launching toward him at unpredictable angles. Women's skin? Soul? Or is it because of the angel wings? Seeing this, Feng Xiejun's heart suddenly filled with dread. It seemed that the moment the angel wings had fully formed, Lu Hao's body, his skin, bones, and even soul, had been completely transformed. From the man Lu Hao, he had turned into a cold, divine goddess of light who only knew how to kill. Every aspect of him, His aura, his demeanor, had undergone earth-shattering changes. Feng Xiejun had a strong, nagging feeling that two souls now resided within Lu Hao's body. One was the human soul of Lu Hao, a man. The other was the soul of a killing goddess, empowered by the angel wings and the child of light. Howling sea of demons. Though confused, Feng Xiejun, facing Lu Hao's terrifying attack, did not dare to hesitate. He released the dark, evil energy of his core, colliding with the barrage of light arrows in the air. This child of light is definitely something strange. It seems I must report this to the kings as soon as possible. Otherwise, the two attacks erupted with an earth-shattering crash, and Feng Xiejun couldn't help but feel a sense of fear rising within him. He immediately began to think about retreating. Boom, boom, boom. The entire world trembled as immense energy overflowed. A terrifying clash beyond the heavens intensified. Trying to escape? Fall into oblivion. Lu Hao's cold, beautiful eyes flickered with mockery. He then gently waved his wings. At that moment, a holy light aura appeared on the angel wings, and with this enhancement, Lu Hao's aura became unmatched. In an instant, Feng Xiejun's domain began to shake. Mountains and rivers quaked, fierce winds howled, and the void trembled as if it were on the brink of collapse. Damn it! Feeling the pure aura around him, Feng Xiejun's body froze in place, enveloped by a chilling, deathly aura. It was too strong. If it were an ordinary two-winged angel, Wind Evil Lord would be more than capable of killing it outright. However, the Child of Light was different from an ordinary angel. His power was unique, and his wings were far stronger than those of a typical two-winged angel. Light Judgment. Die. With a flap of his wings, Lu Hao summoned a cluster of milky white feather swords that slowly materialized between his wings. On these feather swords, an ancient, milky white angelic figure quivered slightly, releasing an aura of nobility, holiness, and inviolability. A smile appeared on Lu Hao's elegant and noble face as he pressed his hands together, gripping the light feather sword. His power once again intertwined perfectly, and a radiant force beyond Wind Evil Lord's abilities surged forth. Moments later, Lu Hao leaped into the air and gently slashed at the space where Wind Evil Lord stood. With that casual swing, the void exploded. Countless evil energies disintegrated in an instant, scattering in all directions. The entire domain and heaven collapsed in a moment. Evil explosion. At that moment, cold sweat appeared all over Wind Evil Lord's body. He couldn't help but roar in fury, his body transforming into countless streams of black blood energy. It shrank suddenly, then exploded outward like a heart's final beat. This body was human, and Wind Evil Lord's essence was nothing but a ball of evil energy. It was because he controlled this body that he could walk freely in the human world. But now, facing the threat of death, he hesitated no longer. He detonated his own essence without a second thought. Even if it meant certain death, it would still be better than falling to the Child of Light's attack. For the two-winged Child of Light, his power was already near the peak of late 7-star Do Xian. Coupled with the fact that light restrained evil, Wind Evil Lord had no way to resist. CHCH. The piercing light storm spread carelessly. Wherever it passed, countless sinister and evil auras were instantly extinguished. Humph! Without giving Wind Evil Lord a chance, Lu Hao wiped him out completely. As he watched the realm and heaven collapse around him, Lu Hao's aura returned to normal. Xun'er, your people, your body, your heart, and even your sacred flame of heavenly fire, they are all tailored for me, the Child of Light. Once I obtain you, everything will fall into place, and the soul of slaughter, the Lucifer you speak of, will stabilize completely because of the existence of the sacred flame. Once I fully merge with the soul of slaughter, my strength will rival that of the reincarnation realm. I will enter the angel kingdom to enjoy unparalleled glory. At that time, the entire great thousand worlds will bow before me. Ha ha ha. In the shattered realm and heavens, Lu Hao's savage laughter echoed loudly, lingering long after. With Wind Evil Lord, one of the three great leaders of the ancient prison, completely slain and his body and soul eradicated, And with Lu Hao's light aura covering the area, the other two leaders below could not sense what had transpired. The atmosphere returned to stillness, and everything proceeded methodically in the shadows. As for Lu Hao, he was using the protection of his immortal artifacts to cautiously investigate the schemes of the extraterritorial evil clan. For him, this was not only a trial but also a tremendous opportunity for growth. Once he uncovered definitive evidence of the extraterritorial evil clan's conspiracy, everything would be worth it. Meanwhile, Xun'er, with her serpentine figure twisting seductively, made her way toward the space where Gu Yuan and the Supreme Heavenly Emperor had entered. She wasn't in a hurry. She seemed absolutely confident that no matter what methods the Supreme Heavenly Emperor and Gu Yuan had, they could not escape her grasp. After all, this was hell, and it was a specially prepared death palace for them. The annihilation of the Gu clan had already been sealed the moment they took control, and now it was only a matter of time. This snake demon. Xiao couldn't help but shake his head as he observed. That graceful figure likely belonged to a human woman whose body had been stolen. However, the demonic figure shared a faint connection with Kai Lin. Both were serpentine beings. Xiao regretted not having asked Kai Lin for a drop of her essence blood. The blood of the tin-colored sky-swallowing python would have easily crushed any serpent-like creature. Senior, are you sure this is the place? In the space ahead, Gu Yuan walked ahead, frowning as he looked at the black, oppressive passageway before them. The narrow, endless space seemed to stretch on forever, and he couldn't help but voice his concern. To protect the Holy Maiden's safety, to prevent any delays in her inheritance, and to ensure that the extraterritorial evil clan could not obtain the other key to the Holy Land, we had no choice but to seal it here. This place is extremely hidden. Even they never sensed it. It's just ahead. The Supreme Heavenly Emperor, his face disheveled and his white hair flowing untamed, led the way in the void. For him, this was a space he had personally created, so he was extremely familiar with it. This is the place. The two of them walked a little further, and the Supreme Heavenly Emperor raised his hand. With a sudden sweep, the spatial barrier before them was torn open, revealing a rather exquisite void. In the center of the void stood an ancient stone box, marked only by a faint yellow trace. If it weren't for the Supreme Heavenly Emperor, it would have been extremely difficult for anyone else to locate this true void. The stone box was sealed with several layers of enchantments. At first glance, it appeared to be just an ordinary item, yet it was incredibly heavy. The thick layers of dust on it indicated that it had been here for decades without anyone noticing its presence. Is this the only key to enter the Holy Land? Gu Yuan relaxed slightly upon seeing this. Although he knew that Xun'er hadn't fallen, the fact that there had been no word from her for decades weighed heavily on him. Even as her father, he couldn't help but feel a pang of regret, deeply concerned about her situation. Wait, don't rush. Gu Yuan's eyes lit up. Once they obtained this key, they could enter the Holy Land. Thinking of his daughter, a sense of guilt surged within him. Since the great upheaval of the Gu clan, the three keys to the Holy Land had lost their power because the spatial passage to the Holy Land had been secretly altered by the Supreme Heavenly Emperor. Even if the extraterritorial evil clan had all three keys, they would still be unable to enter. But the object before them was the true key to the Holy Land, the only one that remained. With a creak, the Supreme Heavenly Emperor's Do Qi surged, and with practiced ease, he dismantled the layers of seals. Then, with a leap, he was at the stone box's side. With a soft plop, a gray square jade stone quietly lay inside the box. The jade emitted an ancient aura, one that seemed to date back eons. This is... Gu Yuan trembled, his voice faltering. The faint scent of his ancestors from the Gu clan lingered on the jade stone. There was no doubt, it was the key. But Xiao, Gu Yuan suddenly hesitated, his words trailing off. That boy has extraordinary skills, but now we must make a choice between the two of them. Time is running out, and I can sense they're getting closer. The Supreme Heavenly Emperor spoke in a deep voice, gripping the jade key tightly. He was very familiar with the aura of Xun'er, the serpent scorpion. If he were at his peak, it would be fine, but in his current state, with only a fraction of his strength remaining, He had no power to confront her directly. No, we must save Xiao Yin first. After a brief silence, Gu Yuan made his decision. Xiao Yin was being hunted by Xun'er, and his life or death was uncertain. As for Xun'er, she should be relatively safe. All right. The Supreme Heavenly Emperor nodded. A rare glimmer of sharp light flashed in his eyes, as though he had anticipated this. However, thinking of Xun'er's terrifying power at the late 8-star Docian level, a headache crept upon him. The air around them suddenly trembled. As the Supreme Heavenly Emperor moved, blood-red serpents uncontrollably surged from the surrounding space, forming a barrier that protected the entire void passage. Countless hissing and growling noises filled the air, and the space seemed to be slowly devoured, with rare flashes of red light. The passage seemed to be descending toward an unknown evil palace. Not good. We can't let her drag us into her domain. The Supreme Heavenly Emperor shouted in alarm as he saw the blood serpents slowly pulling the space downward. The passage seemed to be falling, and the Supreme Heavenly Emperor's voice faltered. He had fought against Xun'er before, and he knew her methods too well, especially her serpent-scorpion blood domain. This was enough to truly trouble the Supreme Heavenly Emperor. When strong 8-star Docian experts clashed, they usually did so within their own domains. After all, the ordinary space couldn't withstand the force of their attacks. Rustle. Xun'er paid no heed, her countless blood serpents hissing fiercely. Before long, a vast blood prison, thousands of feet high, materialized. In her domain, the serpent-scorpion blood domain, Xun'er's power was greatly enhanced, nearly invincible. With both of them still weakened, falling into this domain would surely result in a miserable end. It seems this person's power is comparable to that of a half-king level. Xiao Yin spoke coldly. Having been bound by Xun'er all this time, he finally saw, as the distance between them closed, 10 blood serpents coiled calmly in her hair. The surrounding blood serpents seemed to obey her commands. Suddenly, Xiao Yan's lips curled slightly. 5 types of sacred flames began to quietly materialize within him, condensing together. An invisible aura of threat began to approach Xun'er, but she was so focused on the Supreme Heavenly Emperor and Gu Yuan that she didn't notice.